room became still when the sound of the machines faded. The clock in the corridor marked a minute that refused to pass. His breathing lost its rhythm and then lost its name. The ceiling light flickered once, like an ancient warning. The body remained there. He did not. What rose from the chest had no weight, yet felt the weight of everything, every decision, every word thrown into the dark, every gesture hidden beneath clean routines. The world around him dissolved its contours and revealed a corridor without walls, made of living dimness where the floor seemed to breathe. Other presences crossed the same space without touching. Kings with extinguished crowns, beggars with empty hands, warriors with scars that did not bleed. All walked in the same direction, like leaves pulled by a wind that made no noise. No one asked for passage. No one spoke. Quietness itself carried an order. He walked because the path drew him forward. The face held no sweat. The mouth held no thirst. And yet there was a warmth rising from within, as though truth possessed temperature. In the distance, a glare appeared, a light that did not warm. This light did not welcome. This light examined. When it touched the edges of the soul, the shadows withdrew and exposed the details that earthly time usually smudges. Childhood with its small secrets, youth with its rushed pacts, the mature years with their archived promises. Nothing had been lost in dead files. Everything was present, whole, precise. He sensed that no argument would fit within that brightness. Words justify only when there is noise. There, silence did all the work. At the threshold of the glare, a figure waited. It had no face, and for that reason, nothing was missing. The presence occupied the space the way gravity occupies the stars. It carried no sword. It carried purpose. Before it, 2 stone tables, one on the left, severe, marked by ancient grooves. The other on the right, untouched, as though carved that morning. A morning that knew no morning. Upon the first table, a wide book with thick pages already opened in the middle, breathing the scent of memory. Upon the second, another volume, closed, its spine pale and free of dust. He stopped. The corridor behind him continued to bring footsteps without sound. The figure extended a hand, and the open book turned a page without touch. The lines upon the paper held the texture of a map. Each line carried date, place, intention. When the page turned, the hospital room returned in full, then a bedroom with a barred window, then a street at night, then an office with midnight silence, then a Sunday table. The scenes did not ask for comment. They simply existed. What was small remained small. What seemed small grew when it received light. The heat rose another degree. He became aware of the absence of his own breath, and, even so, the feeling of suffocation. The heart did not beat, yet pulses of memory imitated heartbeats. The glare did not wound the eyes. It wounded pretense. Time did not move. Judgment moved inside him. At some point, old laughter surfaced and ceased without echo. In another, a refused hand reappeared with the sharpness of a blade. The book invented nothing. The book recovered. The figure turned towards the second volume. The pale spine seemed to gain depth. He understood without explanation that this was the record of belonging. It did not concern deeds. It concerned names. The air in the corridor grew denser. The footsteps of those behind him slowed, as though covered by a veil. The closed book waited like a gate. The unmoving hand rested upon the cover. Silence then became absolute. Not even the light shifted. For a moment, the world before death tried to emerge. A kitchen with yellow light, a dusty photograph, an unsent message. It tried, but did not advance. The corridor did not accept distractions. The presence without a face opened the volume. The pages were thin, luminous, almost sonorous. Each turn felt like a breath traveling from a distant sanctuary. He sensed his own name as one hears a muffled bell behind a wall. The bell rang, and the wall remained. The temperature of the air rose once more. There were no flames, and still the heat worked. The sweat that did not exist burned as though it did. The body left behind seemed to insist on feeling pain that no longer had organs. The light stepped forward and fixed itself at the center of the soul with surgical precision. The figure examined the page. There was no haste. The entire corridor seemed to hold the breath it did not possess. The presences behind formed a silent column, attention focused on a single sentence that had not yet been spoken. He stood there, whole, before a criterion that did not fail. Nothing he said on earth entered the room, only what he was. Promises used to quiet guilt stayed outside. Plans, lists, speeches, social masks, the narratives forged for himself, all remained where noise still rules. The room accepted substance. The room refused froth. The name awaited its answer. Beside the tables, the space opened like a valley veiled in mist. There was a distant sound, not of music, but of something that existed before instruments. The heat gained contours. It did not burn the skin. It consumed pretense. Old stains began to surface on the ground, like marks that only reveal themselves when touched by a low flame. He understood what it meant. Each mark demanded a destination. Each mark required a verdict. The figure turned the gaze it did not possess. The pages stopped. The entire corridor leaned into a silence even deeper. The glare held the scene like an invisible altar. The book remained open. The second volume awaited the name. The air of the valley held the final echo. The moment stretched like a blade, and at the meeting point between light and forgetting, there emerged the place where souls await an answer, the Valley of Redemption. The moment lengthened until it lost shape. No sound broke the air, no voice left the figure. The book remained open, the page unmoving, and yet the world seemed to revolve around it. The light of the valley pulsed once, then again. until the glow dissolved like cold breath. Nothing announced the verdict. No angel, no sentence. Only silence, thick, alive, aware. And as the glare withdrew into itself, the corridor vanished, swallowed by a serene mist. In the void that remained, one truth endured. Everything that exists shall be called by its name.